Special thanks to the K Family Foundation, lead underwriters for Mosaic. Hello, my name is Barbara Kay, and on behalf of the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County, I'd like to welcome you to our program, Mosaic. Our special guest on Mosaic today is the executive of the Jewish Agency for Israel, Natan Sharansky. We'll be back with our guest and our program right after this brief message.
Thanks to your support, Federation maintains the fabric of the Jewish community. By enabling our community to remain vital and vibrant today and for future generations.
Mentoring more than 400 at-risk children through the Youth Futures program in Federation's partnered communities of Israel's Tzachar region.
Providing a wealth of social, welfare, spiritual and educational services available to the 110,000 members of the Jewish community in St. Petersburg, Russia.
We touch so many and do so much. Your dollars fund the work of our Federation. Thank you for your generous support.
Welcome to Mosaic, Natan. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I introduced you as the world human rights activist. You are an amazing man with a tremendous, tremendous reputation. But I think it would be interesting for our viewers if they understood a little bit about your background, because it's fascinating. You wrote Fear No Evil, which is the result of being thrown into a Soviet prison at the age of 29. What was that challenge like for you, Natan?
Well, look, I grew in this former Soviet Union, where I was deprived, as all Soviet citizens, of freedom. It was dictatorship. And where I was deprived, as all Soviet Jews, of my identity. I grew knowing nothing about our tradition, our history, our faith, our holidays, or the state of Israel. And at the same time, I did know that I'm Jewish because of anti-Semitism, because that's the word which is written in ID. And as a result, you are trying all the time to figure out how to survive in spite of anti-Semitism. So you learn from your parents that the most important thing is to be the best in your profession, in physics, mathematics, chess, ballet, in something. And that maybe will help you. And, to think that you can fight for freedom, for human rights, against dictatorship, there was no such thought, because the only value is how to survive physically. When I did get the strength to fight, when I discovered my identity after 1967, when you see that the world connects the people around you, connect you to Israel, you want to know what it is, you start reading in the underground, and then you discover that you have such a great history. Exodus from Egypt and the exodus of Leon Uris today, it's all connected. Suddenly there is one history. And you have great people all over the world. They're scattered, you never met them, but they feel they're your family. And you have the state. And that's when you discover your identity, suddenly you get strength to fight for your rights, for rights of other Jews, and then for the rights of many non-Jews. And that's how I became the spokesman of two movements, Zionist movement and human rights movement.
You really, I tell you, you impassioned the world. I remember as a young person walking around with a bracelet, a rubber bracelet with your name imprinted on it, trying to help you get out of that prison and to free the Soviet Jews. That movement was extraordinary. But you really were the epicenter. You and Avital, your wife. You were married, I think, one day, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's really true. First of all, it was a great movement. We Soviet dissidents, Jews who were fighting for our freedom, freedom of others, could never survive in the struggle in one day if it didn't become the struggle of all the Jews of the world.
It's amazing.
KGB was telling me, who is supporting you? A bunch of students and housewives. But they were Jewish students and Jewish housewives who for 20 years were demonstrating and fighting and making headache to their senators and congressmen and leaders of the world, and the world all was united in this struggle and pressure on the Soviet Union. Now, when you're asking, but why my story became so much in the center? There were so many great stories. I'll tell you there are two factors. First of all, there's KGB, which decided to accuse me in high treason and not simply in anti-Soviet activity, because I was like a spokesman, so they decided that there must be something more heavy measures to use to stop this connection. So it was KGB which chose me for high treason. But second, there was my wife. And the KGB thought that they were using this card in the beginning, you're so young, you have such a beautiful wife. And they were right about it. And you have such a great future with your wife in Israel. And now, and only in order not to say one word that you are sorry, that you are wrong, and we're right, you're ready to give away your life. And they hoped that we are young. Vitaly is modest, shy Jewish girl. We were only one day after Chuppah when we were separated. So what she can do? And they couldn't even imagine that Vitaly will turn from shy Jewish girl to such a leader, to major force, to the leader of this army of students and housewives, and that each time when they will be telling me, don't you want to have your freedom in Israel with your wife? I was thinking all the time that I am a free person because I chose what I chose, because I have my people, because I have my wife, I have Israel. Even in prison, I am free. The moment I start making compromises, I'll go back to be a typical Soviet double thinker who will lose all this world of freedom, of Israel, and of my wife.
Well, she was, I met Avital. She still is campaigning. She's still in your corner 110%. She made Aliyah to Israel. In 1986, Gorbachev let you go. Yeah. You went in a few hours from a horrible prison to absolute freedom in Israel. What was that transition like for you?
Well, it was really absolutely unique experience, which not so many people have. How you go straight from hell to paradise.
Paradise,
and
right.
That's exactly what the feeling. They take me from prison, from this evil empire, from the world of hatred, from the world where you are free only in your inner world and you have to defend your... And they simply take and throw you into this ocean of love and light, and where there is your wife and all your people, and all the free world is with you. So it was really very unique ascendance. But my main fear was, I remember, was that I will wake up again in the punishing cell, because I saw so many times in these 9 years how, in my dreams, how I'm free, and then I wake up.
And you're still in the dark dungeon.
So I remember I was like, in the first weeks, in fact, I couldn't sleep. And I think it was psychological.
When you were in Israel?
When I was in Israel. And I was keeping all the time a hand over my wife, because it was a strange feeling that if I fell asleep, who knows where I'll wake up.
Yeah.
But then you start getting used to this. And when you are in the skies, you can only go down. So since then, it's already almost 25 years that I'm going down, but I'm still in paradise.
I wouldn't say you're going down.
No, you may closer to the earth. You cannot be on the skies all the time.
Well, you're grounded. Let's put it that way. Okay. You became a member of the Knesset. Yeah. You served under a number of prime ministers, and then you left and are now the chairman, the chairman of the Jewish Agency for Israel. And that's one of the reasons that I have the pleasure of having you in our community, because the Jewish Agency for Israel is a partner, one of our overseas partners of the Jewish Federation, and a very important partner. And I think it would be good for us to understand, first of all, what the mission of the Jewish Agency is, and why it's so critical to the future of Israel. So just share the mission of the agency, if you would.
Okay, Jewish Agency was created 81 years ago by Ben-Gurion. When he realized that it is not enough to have support of Zionists, those who decided to come to Palestine in order to build the future state of Israel, that you really need support of all the Jews of the world. And that's why he created a round World Zionist Organization, which was created by Herzl, which included Zionists. He created a Jewish agency which included practically all the Jewish community in the world, those who wanted, of course, who are willing to support Israel. And until 1948, in fact, Jewish Agency was the government of Israel, which didn't yet exist. And only after 48, Ben-Gurion moved from Jewish Agency to the government, and Jewish Agency remained the connection between Israel and the world Jewry. So it brought 3 million Jews to Palestine. It's built 900 cities and towns on the money which were raised. But what is most important, there was created a global Jewish table. So government of Israel, opposition of Israel, Jewish streams of Judaism, and Jewish federations from American Jewish communities from all over the world are sitting at one table and discussing what is on the agenda of Jewish people.
So in other words, what you're saying, it created a global peoplehood.
Yeah, exactly.
And a connection.
I don't think that at that moment Ben-Gurion had a very specific aim, how to mobilize people to support this Zionist entity. But in fact, something much bigger was even created, because everybody who is in business, or Jewish business, knows that when you have to bring 3 Jewish organizations at one table, it's almost impossible. And here, there are hundreds of Jewish organizations with the government, with the opposition of this government, with the Reformed Conservative and Orthodox movement, are sitting at one table and have to find out what is their common denominator. That is extremely important tool. And now that after I wrote a book about my prison experience, after I wrote a book about human rights and democracy, then I understood that it's not enough. You have to write a book why identity is important.
Identity.
And then when I was writing it, I didn't think that I'll be the chairman of the Jewish Agency. Year after this, Bibi Netanyahu proposes me to join the government again, and I said to him, look, Bibi, I was 9 years in prison, 9 years in Israeli politics, I think balance is good, I don't want. And then he said, so you are not interested in public life? I said, no, I can be the chairman of the Jewish Agency if you support my candidates. He was so surprised, because after all, people from Jewish Agency want to go to the government. So he said, why? And I said, because I really believe, and all my life was fighting for this, and just now I finished a book about it, how strengthening our identity is the most important answer to everything, to freedom in this world, to continuity of Jewish people, to tikkun olam, to all the important things, strengthening Jewish identity. And we have a problem. Our enemies are trying to undermine the connection between Jewish people and Israel. And I think Jewish Agency is uniquely built to meet this challenge. And that's what I'm doing. I said, when I came a year and a half ago to Jewish Agency, I said, we have great history, great achievements, but today we have to focus our work on how to connect, inspire, and empower every young Jew to connect with their heritage, with their community, and with their state.
You know, that's a very big challenge, and it's a very big, major concern.